restore chat. Gosh, let's see. Oops, I know it's not doing right.
You want me to get to the pop-out chat again?
No, it had a little thing where I could. It just said restore it. Let's see. That's way too high.
Well, I think because it doesn't look like you'll be able to type.
What do you mean? It's right there. Oh, yeah, the other thing isn't there, is
Exactly.
it? Oh, well.
I
I probably won't need to type.
Okay.
Somebody who is out there, please just type in something so I can see if it shows up on my screen, because I'm still... Don't ask me why it constantly doesn't show me the stuff I want to see while showing me stuff I don't want to see. I don't know. It's weird. At least this time I've got windows up, tabs that I can do. So, yeah, James, you betcha. I'm all for that. Let's see. Nothing is visible there. James West's test thing was, God bless Trump.
Absolutely.
Apparently he did. Let's see. That whiteboard could be a little closer. Yeah, this widescreen is a little harder to set up for. And then it kind of gets in the shadows a little bit. Oh, what a week. Last week was a very demanding week physically because we were just, it was hot. We were out at the ranch milling, and then we print bigger. Yeah, I'll do what I can. Those are mainly just notes for me over there. That's nothing important.
Good.
So anyhow, hello, Harry. So when we went up on the mountains, temperature wasn't bad. It was upper 60s, 70 degrees. Hey, Johnnies. How's it going? I hope we've been helpful to you over time there, Johnny. So anyhow, temperature wasn't bad. It was a little breezy at times, which was kind of fine considering the wind was, the temperature was a little higher than we're generally used to, but not bad. The flies sucked big time. Now, we've been going there for a couple of years, and we have never had a situation like we had this weekend. I would not say there were swarms of flies, but there was an abundance of them. It's just short of swarmage territory. And I know the big ones can bite. So I was swatting them. You bet, Shane. And so I found out there's these little flies. They're smaller than a housefly, look kind of similar. They also bite. And the funny thing is, they're tenacious little rascals. They land on you. You don't really feel them because they're so small. But if you go like this, doesn't matter.
They'll sit right there and keep sucking your dang blood. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, Johnny. I'm glad things are going well there. And I didn't realize that they were actually little bloodsuckers until there was one sitting in my hand. And there was a big red splotch left where I hit it. Oh my goodness. Well, the bite doesn't hurt too much, but like a mosquito, they itch later,
And you get these big red welts.
And poor Eva over there, she looks like she's got goiter because her neck, when she had her cancer surgery, it kind of did things to her nerves. So she has like weird sensations. Hey, Rock, how's it going? Thank you for the advice. So far, we haven't found any good bite things.
Well, tell him the stuff he recommended works good on the bites on my hands that were actually ended up blistering for some reason. But it doesn't seem to work as well on the ones on my neck. That might be because there's a whole nest of them.
And anyhow, the what was it called? Afterbite?
Yeah.
Okay, the Afterbite worked good on some of them, depending upon where they were. And the she also got some stuff. It's essentially a Benadryl ointment sort of stuff, not quite a gel. And I put some on my wrist. It seems to have helped. But man, I've seen mosquitoes before. And I've seen lots of mosquitoes before. I had problems with mosquitoes before. But mosquitoes seem to be relatively sensitive to DEET. These flies didn't seem to care a hoot. I mean, we'd be driving along in the quad and they'd be landing on us. We have the pill form of Benadryl too. And how did that work last night, little one?
Well, I took 4 of them. At least I was able to get some sleep.
Okay, the pill form of Benadryl helped her. Thank you for the assistance on that one there.
Oh, ask him. Should I get a bee suit or a fly suit? Which does he recommend?
Eva is debating. Should she get a bee suit or a fly suit to wear? I'm concerned that the bee suit might be too hot as opposed to a fly suit. I'm sure it would be better protection.
But a lot of people said the fly suit didn't actually help with deer flies.
Yeah.
Not deer flies.
Somebody said the fly suit didn't help with deer flies. But anyhow. Okay, he says, what kind of flies? Fly suit for sure. Bee suit, she'd expire from the heat. Okay.
Well, we're not sure exactly what all the kinds of flies are. There are these huge black ones that are larger than horse flies.
No, those aren't. Horse flies are this big.
Then there are some huge black ones that are about that size.
Now
then there are ones
those are deer flies.
Are deer flies. Then there's ones that they're about the size of house flies, but they have a triangular body, and they land on you and they start sucking the blood, and they will not come off until you smack them. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do.
They're attached.
It is ridiculous.
Hey, Mr. Virtue.
You would not. I mean, look at my neck. It's all swollen. It's ridiculous.
So,
because since it was numb, I couldn't feel them biting me. I thought they were biting my ears because of where the pain refers to.
Yep. Anyhow, let's say we're evaluating various situations there. When it comes to the temperature, so that's my only real concern. I suspect that by the time it would cool down enough, hey Chris, that the bee suit wouldn't be a problem. You're probably not going to be a fly issue. So I don't know. But I say this first time we've run into it up there.
Well, I'm just worried about the fly suit because a lot of people said it kind of helped with mosquitoes except where it touched the skin, but it didn't do anything about the deer flies.
Yeah, I say I don't know, little one. Since what's the price on those, by the way?
Yeah, they run about $30.
Just get one of each.
Yeah, and the bee ones run like 30.
That's what I'm saying. Get one of each. We'll do a test. We'll do a product test. I can wear one, she can wear another. But anyhow, yeah, that was unpleasant. Now, I'm going to say something about my beautiful wife over there. She was cussing, but there was no whining. Okay?
And I still did my work.
She did. She was doing her job, cussing the damn flies, spitting them out, and stuff like that.
Literally, they would try to fly into my mouth.
I know. I had a feel like that. The other one is when they go up behind your glasses.
Oh, God.
which is really unfortunate when you're driving a quad. But anyhow, as I say, I'm really, really pleased at how she was able to ignore that because it was not fun. That was not fun. Everything else was fine. Hey, Jim. The only he says it's only going to be another 2 weeks, little one. Minor Jim's here.
Minor Jim, what the hell kind of flies are those, and what kind of thing repels them? The DEET attracted them.
It certainly didn't do a good job of getting rid of them, that's for sure. What do they call the little teeny flies? It looked like a small house fly.
But they have a triangular S.
I say, it was pretty wild. And my body is, now they're bigger than gnats, or at least what I know is gnats. These things, they're just maybe 2/3 about the size of a house fly. And they're kind of a light grayish color, the whole thing, the body and everything. And, they just, when they land, they just don't want to let go in terms of, they're not easy to shoo off. But yeah, it was annoying.
And he had the big black ones crawling all over his legs and all over his back. I mean,
yeah, but they weren't getting through the clothes.
They weren't getting through the denim.
It must have been the moisture they were going for, because they were on me, according to her. But yeah, they didn't give me any problems there. I've got one bite here in my elbow, but you can see my, thing could have come up here. I don't know, Brian. We're not in a situation. Hey, Jean-Francois. Man, that would suck because tsetse flies are dangerous. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of places on this planet that are a lot worse than what we were at, but it was not fun. It wasn't horrible, except at night trying to go to sleep because you were itching, but it was definitely annoying. And if you were moving pretty good, it wasn't too bad. And the wind was sometimes going pretty good, which helped a lot. We also found a very unusual phenomenon from my standpoint. And they got these little butterflies up there. They're about this big. And they were clumped in the middle of the road there. And it looked like maybe a wolf feces.
Wolf, coyote. It was candid scat.
Yeah, it was some kind of, wolf or coyote scat or something. And the butterflies were just all over it. It's like, wow, those are pretty shitty butterflies. It was some crazy stuff, man. The airborne arthropods up there are bizarre. It felt like, was that Jurassic Park?
Yeah, it was really something.
But anyhow, so that was an interesting experience.
Yep, exactly, Rock. It was definitely fresh poop. It was definitely canned poop, I can tell you that. It was some kind of a dog. It was not bear. And it was indeed fresh.
Well, that sucks, Jean-Francois. Stealth biological weapons.
Well, that's ridiculous, Francois. We don't need any of those up here. They can keep them.
Yep. Anyhow,
they're welcome to keep them.
Okay. We got a full load of rocks. I was not able to get a sample out of that M7 location because I'd already been hiking for a couple hours, so I had about another hour to go getting back uphill. And I didn't want to go downhill another 100 vertical feet to get in there to look around. It was a pretty big thing. And
well, yeah, there is malaria.
So
I'm not terribly worried about malaria.
I wasn't terribly worried about that right now. Hey, Jim, I better talk to you offline about something there. It's nothing about what you're doing, but you may have some useful information
Well,
for us. But
Rock, on the matter of bugs, since you've run into a lot more bugs than me, um, I'll tell you, I grew up spending my summers in Maine, rural Maine, and I have never run into flies like this. I'm pretty sure most of the ones that bit me were probably deer flies. They were not horse flies, they weren't quite that large. But I mean, literally, the DEET did not repel them in any way, shape, or form, whatever. And what happened here with my neck when I had my surgery, I got some serious nerve damage. So the side of my face right here and my neck right here is numb. But when something hits it, it refers the feeling to up in my eye and my ear. So I think what was happening that led to this horrible mess here, which is driving me insane, is I kept feeling like this ear was getting bitten and I kept doing this and brushing at it. I forgot that, this was the part to worry about. Is there anything that you can wear as a repellent that these things do not like? They only last 3 weeks most years, huh? Great to hear, Miner Jim. We didn't have them up there at all last year. I mean, literally, last year we had the yellow, we had the bumblebees, or yellow bumblebees, and the ones that look like honeybees but are not aggressive. They don't sting, they just fly around you. But we did not have this fly problem up there the way we had it this year. And I'm looking for some kind of repellent. It's like, grr. Well, do you have a spare gecko that you can mail the goddess, Brian?
That would be cool, but I think he would very quickly become sated.
I would love a gecko. I love lizards. If snakes ate flies, I could wear a snake. I love those too. But no, I mean, I tried the DEET. The DEET did keep away the mosquitoes, but it did nothing about these flies. Ridiculous.
A very fat gecko.
Well, it would become a fat gecko. Okay, so the honeybee looking ones don't bite, huh? Good.
Yeah. What about those yellow, black striped things? They look kind of like the yellow jacket, but they don't seem aggressive. They look like they're going after moisture and things like that.
I was considering doing that, Rock. What I was considering doing is I have a wide brimmed bush hat that I wear now. I was planning on going down to the thrift shop and looking for something light like a chamois that I could drape all over the place. And hopefully that would keep them off my neck. Armor.
Fine tea towel. Yeah, that sounds good. You take care, Johnny.
Take care, Johnny. Cool. I will definitely get one of those. Thank you, Rock. Yeah. Well, the only time I've ever seen flies on the shit up there is when it's fresh scat. Yeah. I've seen quite a lot of fresh scat, but there was some at M1, but I didn't see any reason to disturb you about it because it was just elk.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too large for deer, too small for moose.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it was an elk.
Yeah, I'm sure it was elk. Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, when
if I had seen bear, I would have been careful.
Yeah, when I was on my little hike to set the claim corners and such, I was hoping.
Wow.
Good.
That sounds like a lucky scarf.
Yeah. Anyhow, I was planning on having cell phone communications with Eva, but that plan went out the window once I got down the hill. I lost 250 vertical feet on the quad. I left her at M1, drove down just below M2 there. And Mr. Virtue says they've tried eucalyptus tree leaves.
Okay, I can get some menthol.
We can get some eucalyptus oil. Yeah. I agree, Rock. Somebody starts a fight. What the consequences are up to them. But anyhow, once I got down there, I didn't have comms. Wasn't a big problem. I had the 10, and I basically told Eva, if you hear 3 shots 10 seconds apart, just call 911 and tell them that your husband needs help. Anything short of needing help to get extricated, um, you know, I don't think she could help me much personally anyway. It was that steep and everything. By the time I was going to need help, it's like, okay, it's time for the pros at this point. And just, you hear 3 shots, 10 seconds apart, just call 911 and wait for um, the emergency services to show up and um, go from there. Because, yeah, it was pretty steep. I presume most of you people have seen the video I posted this week since it was yesterday. But that one particular picture of the first one of the claim stake, that um, that terrain there was not the worst I went through. It was close, but it wasn't the worst I went through. Most of it was substantially better than that. I just thought it was pretty hilarious that, where I got to put a stake is in the middle of this giant field of pickup sticks on a, cliffside. But the two disturbed areas I found were significant in size. It looks to me like the area there, the standard mining methodology was once you found something, you just start digging horizontally into the hilltop side, trenching it out, and doing something with the rock. I presume they're throwing waste behind them and ore goes somewhere else, but since I couldn't clearly identify anything or any structures, everything had all this loose stuff, all the faces. So I couldn't see any of the bedrock structure, which was rather frustrating. Eva spent time up in M1, and I tend to agree with her that I think there's probably a structure parallel to that vertical face there. But anyhow, so in M6, I'm guessing at least a couple thousand tons removed, but M7, I'm sure that was well over 10,000 because it's like 100 yards across at the top and 100 yards long at the bottom with a 100-foot slip face. Let me just do a little math here. Let's say 150 by 300 by 50 equals 2.25 million cubic feet divided by 27 equals 833,000 cubic yards times 2. Okay, call it 150,000 tons. Quick guess. Okay, could obviously be a lot less than that. The problem with those areas is that it's really hard to access them at the current time. The old access roads go across private property, old patented claims. And so sometime in the future, we may contact those people and, see whether or not we might work something out. I've got some ideas. But anyhow, aside from just a long walk, it wasn't bad. I was surprised on the way back. I'm just trying to maintain a steady uphill grade from the stakes I put at M7 and just continually uphill because I know I got a long way to go, so it'll work out. And then I found a game trail that was headed uphill, so I did that. Yeah, cubic yard, cubic meter, pretty close. You know, I figure about 2.25 tons, U.S. tons in place per cubic yard. You're probably looking somewhere around, what's your thing, 2.5 tons per cubic meter, metric tons per cubic meter, or somewhere around the same, because metric tons a little more and like that. What's your standard conversion factor, Rock? Anyhow, I followed that game trail until it stopped going uphill, then kind of switched back. And I was just trying to hit the road the quad was on further down, because then it would be an easy hike back up. When I finally got up to the road, just basically hiking the easiest way I could, there's the quad right there. I missed it by less than 10 feet. Wasn't trying for it. 3.1 tons per cubic meter. Yeah, that's quartz is a little denser than your average rock, but okay. That does me pretty good there. Call it 3 tons per cubic meter rough. So yeah, I'll be in good shape there. So I have no idea what they did there. My guess is at this point, because M4, M3, M1 Hylars, M1, M6, M7 are all trenching, heading uphill, trenching. Found other trenching there. There's one place where I found a dump below railroad tracks coming out of another dump, which was below where they trenched into a hillside. And I'm thinking that perhaps the first working there was a tunnel at M2, middle level, into the hill. And then at a later time, when they had heavy equipment, they came in there and started just tearing up the hillside, because that was clearly done with heavy equipment. That's the kind of thing that if you were hand mucking, you would have tunneled in. I'm pretty sure. So I'm guessing. Okay. Sounds good, Rock. I say it's just a kind of rough guess. These are the host rock around there is basically siltstones and shales, stuff like that. I'd call it moderate density, not much. Absolutely, Rock. So these are just ballpark figures, and that is all they are. They just kind of get you in the neighborhood. Next time I go down to M7 Little One, I should probably take my laser rangefinder so I can get some dimensions. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Yeah. But anyhow, that worked well. While I was doing my hike, Eva was taking samples at M1. Got 6 buckets all filled for me there. And after I got back, we went over to the mystery dump there and started loading some quartz and such. It appears in that area that the quartz is significantly higher grade than everything else. Okay, Rock. Let me see here. The strikes. Let's see, where are we at? There we go. Strike on M7, I believe. Well, actually, what I can do is I can just I can send you a PDF or something like that. I know how to save it to a PDF. But the strike on M7, in other words, the axis of the trench that came in there, was almost due north-south. And
26 minutes he was spotted.
And in terms of dips, I still can't see in those things the actual
26 minutes.
What do you call it? Dip, you know. Let's see. That is almost directly north south. That one is more. Yep.
26 minutes.
Almost directly north south. M6 and M7 were both almost directly north south. And the nearly linear drainage underneath M2 is like, let's see, I think north 15 degrees east, which would be a more major fault line. The others would be more tertiary, I think. So, let's say it looks like everything is pretty much going generally north-south, north-south.
26 minutes now.
When you're taking this, the steepest is the most accurate. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rock. So, anyhow, that's I say it's pretty substantial stuff there. We got it all claimed up, and now we got to do a little more work and such. But then we'll see about getting access from below. And in the meantime, we got other stuff to do over at top of the hill. Also, there's somebody not too far away with a big excavator that's doing some work on some patented claims. And my claim owner has some patented claims and has some work that he's kind of interested if they get an excavator to do something. So he's looking at maybe contacting the people that currently have an excavator up there. You know, when you got a 3-yard excavator on site, you know, for a little bit of extra money here, can you go over here and dig a trench here and a trench here for me, please? That'd save a lot of money. Unfortunately, a lot of this, I presume so, Rock, as far as I know, it's just been postponed due to, what do you call it, scheduling conflicts. And I should probably call him. It's going to be 2 weeks before we can get back out there. But I'm perfectly happy to go out there. Let me write it down this note here. Call Stacy. Yeah. Hey, Shaggy. So, yeah, it's just been one of those juggling things where it hasn't come together perfectly yet. But some of the pressure's off of me now. Among other things, once I put some discovery stakes in the ground, there's a certain amount of work that has to be done in a certain time period, and you better damn well get it done or you got to start over again. You know, so we were kind of in a hurry to focus on these things. For the next 2 weeks, we're pretty much going to stay out of the field, so hopefully the fly problem will no longer be a problem. And then we're going to be focusing on the mill, and her son's going to come down and visit. We're going to be working with the computer and the electronics and video stuff and everything. Well, yeah, I say this, it's in the case of the Forest Service land, we would definitely have to have permits. In the case of the private property, I think it's, pretty straightforward there. But I haven't checked that out myself, because this is kind of his idea, and he hadn't even told me exactly where he wants to dig the trenches. He's a very circumspect person at times. That's exactly what I think. And this is actually his land. He owns it. So that'd be pretty simple. And I think you can get it all the way from where it's at to his property, all on private land, you know. And unfortunately, the stuff we saw this weekend, that's not on private land. That would definitely require permitting to get equipment in there. And yeah, even just, if you were potentially clearing old roads to get a quad through, you have to be very careful not to the amount of disturbance you do. You're only allowed to clear dead wood. So you have to be quite careful. And you might notice you haven't seen any videotape of that, in case there's some incidental, accidental disturbance of an extraordinarily small nature that might be detectable on a video. But anyhow, it's trying to. Where do you think all the Californians are moving to, John? Man, this whole place is getting Californicated. Well, the whole left coast. Idaho's getting bad. But yeah, they go and mess up their nest, and then they fly over here and decide to start crapping in this one. And geez, it's ridiculous. Yep, Jim confirms. Haven't seen too many migrants yet. It was supposed to be elevated on the wheels. You just didn't notice it, Rock. I can understand how this happens. It was a pure accident. You didn't notice that the vehicle was, because it was strong and powerful, and you just thought it was a rough road. I understand completely. But to keep from cutting down trees, sometimes we had to navigate some pretty narrow spots. And like 2 inches on each side with that quad with the baskets. And I can tell you that the baskets are reasonably durable. At a low speed, they don't get damaged. The vehicle just comes to a stop. And I don't know about you, Rock, but with me, when I'm doing all this weaving in and out, in and out, and in and out, I tend to get like tree hypnosis or something. It's hard for me to focus. I think it's because I'm getting old. But, it's like I'm starting to zone out and go kind of reflexively. Every once in a while, I made a mistake and came to a sharp deceleration. My personal feeling, Jean-Francois, is I am natural. Therefore, what I do is natural. Therefore, it's just a natural event. I was going slow enough that it didn't hurt. Hey, honey bunny. Yeah, I was in first gear. The slopes on Well, the road from M1 from the pickup sticks to M1 and from M1 to M2 are so steep that there are times that the rear tires are spinning. It's a straight axle quad. The rear tires are sliding a bit just because I'm idling the engine first gear low range and not even hitting the brakes. I'm using the front brakes and the rear tires are sliding because it's steep enough. Oh my goodness. So, is they going up because it's an air cooled engine? It's an old Yamaha, and I got to say this: Yamaha Quad 4. I forget what they call it. I think it's a Quad 4. It doing just fine, but it's air cooled engine, no fan. So climbing up these steep grades in first gear, low range. Hey, Red Wing. Um, you know, it gets a little hot, but I don't think I've heard it at all. It kind of splutters a little bit when you give it throttle. Not bad, but just enough. A little hesitation. When that engine's nice and cool, you just point it up, give it throttle, and if you got the weight balance, it just goes up. I can understand why somebody told me one time, yeah, you want a two-wheel drive. Four-wheel drive's got enough traction to get you killed. And I can see why. You could go up a hill so steep you just flip over backwards. You know? Could be, Shaggy. It's not mine. The guy who owns it can get more if he needs them, and it seems to be doing fine.
We're taking as good a care of it as we can.
And it seems to be doing all right. I just wish I had like a temperature gauge, just so I could tell. But yeah, it is some steep stuff there. From just when I come off of M1, start headed up to the pickup sticks, I found out it's better to have 2 buckets in the front rack and 1 bucket in the rear rack to get more traction on the rear wheels. You put 3 on the front rack and the rear tires are spinning going up. So that worked out pretty well. Yeah, that would work good on a 4x4, honey bunny. And all this stuff, it's always, when you're carrying a load, it's always going uphill. So I started out with 3 on the front rack, none on the back. It's 2-wheel drive, figuring, safety, it's not going to wheelie over. But I was having a little tire spin, so I moved 1 to the back rack, and that seemed to work good. It just goes up that slope without spinning. Good grip, good acceleration, as long as I keep it in first gear. I don't want to try shifting, By the way, Jean-Francois, I liked your rule of nature. Ducks don't like getting in a row. That was pretty good. But yeah, it worked out well. Eva was digging through the mystery dump and stuff, and I just went back and collect the stuff that she had picked up there, and we wound up with a full load. We only had 36 or 37 buckets with us because that's all the empty buckets there were. The ranch are empty because the rest have samples in them that we hadn't had time to get to. And we filled them all, and we filled them pretty good. So that should be decent ore. Not great, but decent. And when it comes to results from the lab, first of all, Eva has so far accomplished 1 smelt of the spent stripped resin and got very little gold. It appears that during the stripping process, we got about 97.5% of the gold out of it, which is pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Another thing from the mill We were trying adding a flocculant to the solution. The stuff from Mystery Dump and Top of the Hill and stuff like that tends to have a lot of clay in it. Uh, Very floaty stuff that doesn't like to settle, even with a centrifuge. So we put some flocculant, and it flocculates just fine, honey bunny. But we took a sample, and part of it was as we took it, and the other part was flocculated. And the flocculated only showed about 80% of the gold that the unflocculated did. So until further testing shows otherwise, we'll assume that adding flocculant will lose gold out of solution. That should be great, Rock. Eva would love to be with you on that one. But anyhow, so it appears tentatively that adding flocculant will lose you some gold. So we'll continue flocculating for spot test, but not for laboratory testing or in the process. We're hesitant about doing the process anyway, both out of just pure policy and also the consumption of flocculant I've seen in the past is kind of directly proportional to how much crap you're flocculating, which makes sense. And so it would get pretty expensive to flocculate that. And we are getting good filtration through the pad, so not a problem. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but yeah. Argos look like toys compared to them. I'm not sure what Argos are, Jean-Francois. What's your... I guess the amethyst, maybe? Yeah, I say, I'm not sure what it is. We also have yet to do our experiments where next to the pad there is a big pine tree. And so at times we get pine needles and stuff like that. One thing we want to do is take a known concentration of solution and bottle roll it with pine needles and see how much loss we may be getting from that. We've been just out of general purposes trying to keep the organic contaminants to a minimum, but it'd be nice to know how significant a problem it is. It can't be good, but the question is how bad, and we don't know at this time. Let me look at my list here. Fly, flock. Okay, I think I got my list of stuff there. But yeah, right now we need to get back out to the ranch. Probably going to be Thursday, Friday. Lauren will be in town theoretically Wednesday and Thursday doing some welding in his shop. And I'll head over there with my welder and we'll check it out. He'll show me, figure out what needs to be fixed, show me how to fix it so that when get the parts done in there. And then we use his welder to weld hard facing on jaw plates for now. And then when parts come in, I can fix my welder and then we can go from there. Yeah. Lauren was of the opinion that those 20-year-old welders are built so much better than the new ones that I'm better off fixing it if possible. If the windings themselves haven't been damaged, he says, you're better off fixing that one than buying a new one. Okay, Brian. What do you mean for oxidizing the sulfide ores? Or putting it in with the chemicals to leach a sulfide ore? Do you have any idea? Jean-Francois, quick question. It looks like you're having a conversation that I'm not seeing the other side of, and I was just curious. Who are you actually talking to? It seems that there may be somebody who I'm just not able to see. Is it Rock or somebody? Okay. Yeah, I'm you guys are talking about something, and I've missed some key thing. As a pre-treatment, okay, Brian. So made did you take a sulfide concentrate or a raw crushed sulfide ore and pre-treat it with ozone before uh, hitting it with the is that the glycine or the Eco Goldex? So that's good to know. Fine ore and water with it. I presume what it does is it breaks down the sulfides so that the leach solution can get to the gold. You know, ozone being a strong oxidizer. Trying to break that sulfide down. It might also be advantageous just to break it down so it doesn't like consume reagents too. Correct, Rock Butcher. And I presume he's using an ozone generator like what they use for spas, hot tubs, and like that. And fluorine tetroxide. Well, sure, if you want to blow yourself to smithereens, honey bunny. Yeah. So, Brian Smith from Boss Recreational Mining, BOS Recreational Mining, has been doing some testing. He's been using gold foil as a test subject because it's easy to dissolve and it's consistent. And he's found out that the glycine seems to dissolve the gold foil in about half the time of Eco Goldex. And he's also done some testing on the temperature, the effective temperature on dissolution rate, and found it's not too bad until you start getting below about 70 or 80 degrees. Then it really goes to hell. Hey, Chris. Sort of here, huh? Okay. I was wondering how you were doing. When I tried calling you, you weren't there. Oh, whooping cough sucks, Jean-Francois. I've had whooping cough as an adult, and I had to continue drilling. Oh, it sucks. That was horrible. It was a little worse, though, watching my daughter, who is like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. She'd be coughing till she was puking. And, oh, yeah, it's sad to see your young daughter laying on the bathroom floor. So when she wakes up coughing, she can just puke and then go back to sleep. It was rough. So, yeah, my sympathies. But yeah, whooping cough as an adult is not a good thing. Did you have your DPT? And they say it helps a bit. You cannot switch a load claim to a placer claim. You can overstake your load claim with a separate placer claim. Then if you wanted to, you could, just discontinue the load claim if you wished. It used to be if the area was not previously claimed and open to exploration, when you staked a load claim, you automatically got the placer above it. Then they decided we can get more money if we, force you to, stake 2 claims and pay fees for 2 claims and all that other stuff. So, if you have a load claim and you wish to stake it as a placer claim, just stake a placer claim, It could be, Chris. I don't know. So they keep getting everything more complicated. Yeah, man, we had a fire up here. I don't know if you heard about it, but they lost a pilot on a AT-802 or something. It's basically a converted heavy-duty crop dusting plane converted to water bomber. Put floats on it, scoops, and like that. And it was a Brazilian pilot. The actual cause of the crash is not known. She was essentially in the process of picking up water, and something went awry, and she did not survive. But the opinion around here is, I'd like to see what you guys think too, that the Forest Service deliberately doesn't manage the forest because the contractors make a lot of money fighting fires. And if you properly managed a forest, you wouldn't have those kind of fires. You wouldn't have these gigantic firefighting expenses that people make a profit on. But John Francois says there's been 3 times more whooping cough cases in Quebec than in the last 6 months than the yearly average. Yeah.
Gee, I wonder
why.
Possibly be responsible for this.
Yeah. No, there was no telephone line. She was making a pickup over a lake. Looking at that particular location, I don't know why she was trying to take off a Hauser Lake, which is narrow and kind of in a canyon, instead of just going literally a couple miles to Canyon Ferry, which is much wider. Just gigantic open territory compared to where she was trying to pick up at Hauser. At Lakeside there, little one?
Yeah.
She was kind of upstream from Lakeside. You know how small the lake is there?
Yeah.
It's like 600-700 feet wide. Whereas if she'd gone up, a couple miles to Canyon Ferry Lake, it would have been a half a mile or mile, I'm not sure what it is now, Jim. Luckily, it's heading away from York. Oh, yeah. But, Chris, as I said, 2 miles away is another lake. It's actually just as close to the fire, or maybe even closer. Okay. But it's a much bigger, wider lake with shallower terrain on the sides. Okay. And so I don't know why she or they or whoever chose Hauser Lake instead of Canyon Ferry Lake. I don't know, 70, 80 feet? When I say it's 2 miles up canyon, I mean it. The difference is like 70 feet. That's a good... I should be able to tell you real quick here. I've got my Google Earth here. Come on. I know there's a Missouri River over there somewhere. Good gosh. Wow, I went way too far over. There's Canyon Ferry, I think. It looks like Canyon Ferry, or no, that's probably Hauser. Come on. Well, that is Canyon Ferry. Okay. Let's see. The dam height at Canyon Ferry, according to Google Earth, is, hello, get the glasses on, 3,817 feet. The stuff at Hauser Dam, 3,664 feet. So did I say 3,800? So 200-foot difference? Seems a little bit much to me. We're only talking a 200-foot difference in elevation. And I said, I really don't know. I saw the thing that Juan Brown came out with on it. And so apparently that thing is a real tricky plane to load up. And takes a lot of practice to get it right. And you have to be ready to dump the load if it starts sloshing on you, you know. But anyhow, it's a shame that that happened. But yeah, they were actually doing air attack within 24 hours. Apparently so. I don't know, but Juan Brown's pretty good about these things. And what little one?
The wife of the fallen hero refused a phone call from Lord Malarkey. Her husband would not have liked it.
Yeah, that sounds good. But anyhow, so that is one of those things that's unfortunate, but you know, it does happen. But yeah, they were hitting it with the I forget what it is. I'm actually not sure what that was. The I think it was a twin engine jet. I don't think it was the 4-engine British jet airliner that they got converted to a water bomber, but it was very noticeable that when it took off from Helena, because the climb out was really shallow over town. Not Ron Brown, Juan Brown. His channel is Blanco Lirio, BlancoLiro. He's a 777 pilot. He does fire things. He does, wildfire stuff, flood stuff, and plane crash stuff. And good guy. Guy seems pretty knowledgeable and doesn't seem to speculate too much without specifically saying, "I'm just guessing here, but," sort of thing. I got respect for the work he does. But anyhow, I say that the day after was it the day of the fire? I think it was the day of the fire. Yeah, it was smoke was coming pretty good. They had 3 DC-10s flying Tuesday and Wednesday. I saw the DC-10s when we came back from the hills. But as in the very first day the fire started, there was something took off from the airfield. It wasn't a DC-10. I know what a DC-10 looks like, but it was climbing out real shallow and moving along pretty quickly. And I said, that must be a firefighting aircraft. And there was smoke, but you couldn't see where it was coming from. And that's when the wind was blowing kind of east to west. and you couldn't see the fire, but you could sure see a lot of smoke in the air. And say that thing was, it was hustling, but it was going shallow. So it's like, yeah, that's for a close fire. He's not climbing out, you know. So we had one over in Helen here. Was it last year before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
They had a fire right there. We were out of town, of course, in the field doing our field thing, and literally right behind the house here, the mountain is burning, and they're doing helicopter drops and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, what the heck? We missed it. So it was just one of those deals. There you go. Chris put out the link to the Juan Brown stuff there. Agreed. One time we were out at Montana Bee. I was doing my thing, and I looked up, and all of a sudden it's smoky. You know, up till then it's been nice and clear. Now it's smoky. And I called Chris. I want to give him a shout out here. I called him up and I said, Chris, I must have a fire upwind of me. Can you check it out? And he went and did that and found out where it was. It was over near Boulder, which was 20 miles away, 25 miles away, line of sight, upwind. But I have had experience with Southern California fires, which move like lightning compared to these fires up here. I mean, you know, we're talking thing move, 10, 20 miles an hour at times. So when we quit that day, we packed the big stuff up on the trailer, hooked it to the truck, and pulled out about a mile away, where instead of being in a canyon with only one exit route and only a few 100-yard line of sight to the ridge, we were at another area where we had a high-speed exfiltration route, one we could go at least 30 miles an hour on, and it was just grassland, and we had like 3/4 of a mile visibility upwind. So, and we were just, again, in grassland, so I suspect that if we needed to, we could have just closed the windows on the truck and let it burn under us, and we would have been okay. We wouldn't have done that voluntarily. And so anyhow, I felt much more comfortable there. I knew that we could exfiltrate, and if we couldn't exfiltrate because the car wouldn't start or something, I was highly confident that the triangular intersection area that was bounded by 3 roads there that we were in, deliberately parked there, I could start a fire at the truck, let it burn away, burn that whole triangle out, and be safe if we had to be. And I want to thank Chris for helping me out to get figured out what the heck the situation was. And so it was, it was nerve-wracking up in the canyon. But once we got out on the plains and stuff, I was able to sleep pretty comfortably, knowing that we had an exfiltration route directly downwind at high speed. And I could see the fire coming a mile away. And so that's something you have to be careful about up here, is your exfiltration routes and such, because it's not unusual doing the job we do to be in an area where you got one way out, and that way may go miles around, so you have to pay attention. Last year, there was fire within, I don't know, 3 or 4 miles of us. The closest might have been much further, but yeah, And say it's just one of those things that you pay attention. Another thing we do, partly for convenience and partly for safety, when we park, we uncouple the trailer, pull away from it a little bit, and camp between the two. And part of that is in case something happens and we need to leave in an emergency, say somebody gets hurt or whatever, we can leave the trailer and just move out, you know? And so that's what we do. In a case like that, it would probably be a medical emergency, most likely. But as I say, we do that so that we do have the fastest speed we can achieve with our vehicles. I would think so, Rock. Do you have a system in place and communications in place where if a fire becomes a threat to your crews or a potential threat to your crews, that they can get informed and exfiltrated? And if their exit route is blocked, that they have the means to helicopter evacuate them or stuff? I mean, is all this thing game planned ahead of time, or is it something you just got to be very, very watchful and make sure that everyone gets out as soon as possible? What kind of communications do you have too? Okay, yeah, because you got the same problem, but on a greater scale. Sat phone and UHF. Okay, good, because yeah, you really don't want your people to be stuck
Well,
with a fire moving in. That would be bad.
I am considering getting us something like one of those e-perf things, or the Garmin texty thing now that they have.
Yeah, that's like $600, right?
Yeah, I think they've got one Garmin that one of the new ones is like $300 plus a
Yeah,
text option.
yeah, satellite text thing. Yeah,
Gonna look into it.
yeah. Well, the other thing we need to do is get out those two-way radios we've got and get them working and get everything all figured out on those, because yeah, that wasn't nice not having direct communication with you, you know. And that Eva's my safety person, and it gives me a lot of
Yeah,
confidence.
that is that road that I keep seeing from M1, the Ziggy Zaggy road
Across.
across the thing. There's the Stemple Pass trailhead. There's the trailhead, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. So, anyhow, yeah. And how much did it cost you, Dave? Well, wonderful, honey bunny. Why not? So, anyhow, our little $600. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Hmm. I suppose the local comms people, like the Ham uh, Club or whatever, would be good. I don't know about flare guns, honey bunny, but um, I do know that if you were in a real pinch, you could maybe set a backfire, like where we're at top of the hill where it's a meadow. We could theoretically, if there was a fire moving in and we couldn't get out, is ahead of the fire, light one in the grass, let it burn out an area, and then go sit in the middle of that while it goes around us. Um, if you don't have high, cover around you, I think you could probably survive quite a lot. Oh, I don't mean as a spot fire. I mean, not like a signal. I'm talking about just if you're stuck and you got a fire moving in and you can't get out, just burn out an area and go sit in the middle of it to let it burn around you. I think we've got something that might be done. I say we need to talk to some experts that are local here and see what the equipment we got can do. Oh, absolutely, honey bunny, but better a live. What do they call that? Not a prisoner, someone who's accused. Anyhow, better to be accused than crisped. Take care, Rock. Thanks for the help. So yeah, the communication stuff is it's changing so fast. Yeah, exactly, honey bunny. Besides, aside from the fact you're alive, how could they tell you started the fire when it's all black everywhere around you? Yeah. The forests around here are so badly managed that when they light up, they light up. Um, so there's a lot of wood laying on the ground, and I mean we're the area that we call the pickup sticks, etc. If it wasn't for the stuff laying on the ground, you could get a fire through there, and there'd hardly be any damage at all. Agreed, Jean Francois. But yeah, say first rule is saving life. Then you save property, and I say it's one of those things that I don't like being downwind of a fire front. My mom was in Rancho Bernardo, California, when the cedar fire hit. It started at like 4 in the afternoon. Some lost hunter decided to light a signal fire because he's really smart. Got out of control, and they were unable to fight the fire that evening. And for some genius reason, nobody was assigned to actually keep an eye on the fire. So the first thing they knew at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, people in the outlying ranchettes and stuff like this of San Diego woke up to the sound of the fire coming over the hills. 13 of them died. 1,100 structures were destroyed. Okay. That thing moved 30 miles in one night. That's the kind of threat I'm used to considering.
Heard a fire.
I haven't. Yeah.
You don't want to hear a fire, okay? I've also heard a tornado. Yeah. You don't want to hear a fire. Between the two, the fire was a lot scarier.
Yeah, I mean, we could say there's all kinds of things like that meadow there. I'm sure if a fire was burning and we couldn't get out, we could pick a spot on the meadow, light a backfire, let it burn out an area, drive on into the middle of that, and then just wait it out. There's places we could easily be well over 100 yards from the nearest trees, But it's a scary sort of thought when there are fires burning, and the last week has been hot and dry. That one over there near York that we had here, that's the first time I ever saw pyrocumulus also, where it actually was doing it. Well, that's why I say if we got the camper, which is all metal outside and thoroughly insulated, if we could burn out an area in the middle of the Veto, we're 100 yards from the nearest trees, get inside it, close up all the windows, I think would be okay. Okay? I don't know. I don't want to find out. But And I say there's a place I can think of that's probably more like 200 yards from the nearest tree. So yeah, if you burn that meadow spot there and then park in the middle of it, I think you could survive it okay. Um, if I have any questions as to whether or not we're going to have to play a game like that, I'm out. You know, if I have warning of it, this may get a little spicy. Yeah, I'm going. And if I got to leave the equipment, I leave the equipment. So that's why I do not have the trailer hitched up. In case of emergency, most likely a medical emergency, we can just fire it up and roll, and to hell with it. Um, and say everything else can be replaced. And um, I'd be going at more than my usual rate of speed too. I guarantee you that. Um, but yeah, it's a that just it puckers me a little bit. I don't want to get crispy crittered. That doesn't sound like a whole bunch of fun to me. Um, but that's just one thing we have to take into consideration here. I also don't know what the I don't know what the priorities are of the fire services and stuff like this, how well they can see stuff. But if you got a camper parked in the middle of a meadow at the top of a mountain, I would think that the spotter plane is going to see that son of a gun. Okay, especially as well. It's camo on the sides. The roof is unpainted aluminum. There's a reason for that. So, as it's one of those things that if we have any doubt, we're changing the situation as soon as we realize that there is some doubt or it's getting to become doubtful. Um, the next 2 weeks is going to be mostly milling, and
All kinds of developments I'll have to talk to you about when we get off the line.
we think that the latest batch was, let's see, grams per ton. Each gram per ton is about 0.03 ounces per ton. So we're looking at 2 times 0.3. We're thinking that the gravity separation got well over half the gold, at least what we're seeing in the solution. So that is interesting. So we seem to be doing pretty good with that gravity separation there. And we're going to be doing, first of all, we got to get a batch in the tank and cooking. And then we're going to have to go through all the samples once I get them all crushed up. When first I got to get the hard facing, then first I got to get a welder. And yeah, and. But once we get all the samples crushed up and split down, then I'll do a rough pulverization through the RC46 rolls, and then I got all the hard facing on the bob mill done, honey bunny, no problem. I'm not allowed to say Mr. Virtue. That's confidential information, but it's okay. It's not great. Let's put it that way. The problem is I need to hard face my jaw plates. An interesting detail when you're like dealing with quartz on the RC46 jaw crusher, the movable plate gets much higher rates of wear than the fixed plate. So that's what you need to have extras of and focus hard facing and stuff like that. What happened was my My welder died just as I was hard facing the last of the impactor pieces for the bob mill. And I was able to, you know, limp through the last 6 inches of the thing. What specific designs or changes to design do you think would improve that situation, Chris? You think if the take care, Jean-Francois. Thank you for showing up. Do you think if we had the angle a little more vertical on the movable plate? Not yet. Chris, Lauren's supposed to be here like Wednesday and Thursday, working in his shop on some stuff. Tentative plan is to load up the welder on Tuesday, drive it over there, and take it in the shop, open it up, check it out, find out what's wrong, and get the parts ordered, and he can tell me how to fix it. Then I can use his stick welder to hard face a couple of jaw plates, and that'll get me through until the parts come in. Then I can fix my welder and blah, blah, blah. If for any reason the welder's not repairable or reasonably repairable, then I'll worry about getting another one, either a used one. Again, his opinion was that a repaired old welder is better than a brand new one in general, because they were just built a lot tougher. I was thinking if you had the angle between the jaws a little shallower and the movable jaw more vertical, it would bite, because it seems that what's happening, take care, Mr. Virtue, and when it comes in to pinch the rock, it tends to, the movable jaws tends to slide on it before it gets a good grip, whereas the fixed jaw seems to have a good grip. So I'm thinking, if we change the angle between the two, it might pinch more effectively. I don't know. But,
Whoa.
The one I bought sometime in the 90s. Oh, I'm sure, honey bunny. As soon as you double the amount of moving parts, life sucks. But as I was thinking of just changing the angle might reduce the slippage when that movable jaw is coming in trying to pinch the rock and get a good grip on it. Okay, Mr. Virtue. So anyhow, I have noticed one thing, besides the fact that hard facing those jaw plates tends to warp them. If I was building my own jaw crusher of about the same size, I'd go with at least 3/8 inch jaw plates, at least on the movable jaw. I'd make sure that one was thicker. But the plates will tend to, as you weld on them, they'll tend to suck up, become just the opposite, Chris, concave instead of convex. But what I found is I can take two plates, put like a piece of 1/8 inch strap, 1 inch by 1/8 inch strap, crossways between the middle, and clamp them so that I put a flex in it. And after I weld it, when I release it, after it's cooled, that compensates for that. I didn't invent the idea. I got it from the way they made the Keck telescope mirror up on Mauna Loa. But that way, it compensates. The flex that you're putting on the plate compensates for the stress that's induced by the welding. As it freezes up, it freezes, bent this way, so comes up. Seems pretty good. Seems to work fairly well. If you just clamp it to something flat, the corners still tend to come up. Okay.
Mm.
Oh yeah, cast iron would, it's great. Um, it's pretty wear resistant and stuff, but yep, there's not much you can do to it except maybe hard face them, and that I'm not sure how
Holy
well that
shit.
would work. So, anyhow,
That's ridiculous.
that's what I've been doing. But I have noticed too that the bolt holes where they attach to the jaw tend to get closer together with time as the plate actually shrinks. So I've had to kind of modify the hole on one end. So it's just one of those situations where there's no perfect solution. Some are just a lot cheaper than others. Those new plates from Keen are pretty damned expensive. They're like $100 each. I think the RC46 actually has cleat stops there when the bolts really don't take much strain, shear. They're just kind of holding them in place.
Holy shit.
But yeah, it's an interesting situation. If I was having them plasma cut, I think I'd have one a hole and the other one a slot. So as I continued to hard face them, it would, you know, continue to fit just fine. But that is an issue money wise. I can't just be buying. I can literally wear through a plate in less than 8 hours from the factory. Without the hard facing, it wears quick. Um, with the hard facing, it still wears reasonably quickly, but not near as bad as without it. So I'd say that's my evil plan for now. And then we got, well, this trip we got at least 3/4 of a ton. We got another at least 3/4 of a ton of mystery dump stuff sitting over there at the ranch. We got probably another 3 batches of stuff from Montana B we haven't even touched yet. That'll be interesting to see what happens when we put it over the sluice. And I say it works. It'll work, but I'm just wondering how much we're going to get gravity on the Montana B stuff now. That's Eva's second beverage. Yeah, those would be Diet Pepsis, or what is it?
In this particular case, it is Winco brand.
There you go.
Diet Cola.
The
There
hard
was too
stuff.
much blood in my caffeine system.
So that's the kind of me. I'm generally something like this.
All kinds of crazy.
If I drink alcohol,
updates.
I go to sleep.
All kinds of crazy updates regarding the seat shoot.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's basically the update and the plan. 2 weeks, not much field work, but a lot out at the mill. Then after that, we'll see. We're also planning, little one, did you ever call up the Sapphire Mine?
No, we have to call them tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Let me put it on my list. Call Sapphire Mine. Yeah, he even wants to go out to, what's the name of that place?
Blue Jewel.
Blue Jewel.
It is one of the. It's according to all the reviews. I was looking. There's several others. There's one by a place called Phillipsburg,
Uh-huh.
out there beyond Anaconda. The supposedly, it's more expensive per pound, but they have better amenities, and it's right outside the town of Phillipsburg, where they sell sapphires from there, and
Anyhow, so we're planning on going out to the Blue Jewel Sapphire Mine, which is yonder, about 20 miles line of sight, about 35 miles by way of the road, and go do some sapphire mining. I'm sure they'll be happy to let us do a video on that. You know what I was thinking, little one?
What?
Yeah, it's fee. It's was it $160 for 6 buckets or something?
Yeah, $160 for 5 or 6 buckets that you shovel yourself, and you're gonna want to bring your own chair or bring shade.
Okay. The other thing I was saying is we should take some crystal clusters, and they might be willing to work out a bit of a swap.
I don't think they want my dirty crystal clusters.
I don't know. The tourists might like to have something, that they could buy that was relatively cheap, like $5 or $10.
I don't think they sell anything.
I think Eva said we dig.
I don't think they sell anything out there. They tell you to bring your own food.
Yeah. Anyhow.
It's going to be like down a dirt road.
Yeah, I know. But as I say, we might want to take some just to see.
You can talk to them on the phone tomorrow.
Yeah. But anyhow, so let's say we want to do that. We'll probably have a video on that. I've already got some video from the mill, and I just got to edit it together. So we'll have some stuff going on, but not too much in the way of field work. Chris says, toss the crystal clusters in an ultrasonic cleaner for a bit with some CLR. Okay?
With some what? CLR?
CLR.
I'd be happy to. If I had an ultrasonic cleaner, I want one.
You might talk to Lauren. I think he's got one. But anyhow. So that's kind of the plan here. And we're going from there. We're definitely busy and doing interesting things here, but a lot of it's at the mill instead of out in the field. But on the other hand, we got to learn some interesting stuff there. And we're doing more basic exploration as opposed to just mining, because we really need to find a higher grade deposit. So we'll be doing a lot of video on exploration. But so that's about it. First of all, does anyone have any questions or anything too? There was somebody who mentioned that they were planning on doing a lot of questions this Monday. And I don't know if he showed up or not. I forget the name. I'm really bad with names now. It's sad. Luckily, whatever her name is over on the bed puts up with me. Anyhow, and we've got this new Tomlov microscope. Like, what the hell was that? Like the guy from Jason from Flower Gold Wizards has. And so, that was the lens cover, huh? So theoretically, we'll be able to get some pictures and video and stuff, which will be kind of cool. Well, I'm sorry, honey bunny. I can't fix it. I do everything I can, but I've been known to have crappy internet syndrome too. Want to review your electrowinning system? If you want me to. Okay. Do you want the whole stripping circuit, I'm guessing, Brian? Get a little room here. Wow. So anyhow, when we're using the Eco Goldex, we've got a tank leech. Oops. All right. Come on. A tank leech that dumps onto a pad, which drains into a pond. And then what we do is we take this pregnant solution and we pump it through some cartridges of resin. We use 4 cartridges, and we use a spot test to get a reasonably good approximation of how much gold is in solution between each cartridge there. And that way we can know when to change out these cartridges, when they're getting loaded. And that just basically means it got so much gold in it that it can no longer absorb any gold, or it's got so much crap in it, it can no longer absorb any more crap, of which gold is the important crap. Okay. Then we have a system, and I'll leave that side open for a minute. We have a reservoir. The cartridges, we have a plastic layer there. The cartridges fit in this, and we like to keep the solution just above this layer, because this cap on the cartridge can suck a little air right through there, and that causes problems. By having the solution above that, it kind of keeps the air from doing its bad thing. We just put a cork in the hole here with a tube. Okay, that goes, I'm sure that's not the pump symbol, that's an electric motor symbol, I'm pretty sure, but it goes to a pump, and from there we have just a plastic trough about that big. Okay, it's designed to be like, put spices and stuff in it. It has a wooden lid that we throw away. Okay, I drill a little hole here, little hole, half-inch hole there, leave everything else closed. I take 2 pieces of plastic cutting board and notch them in the side so they go this way, and because of the notches, we have 2 plates here, and this is the positive and the negative. Positive plate is made out of carbon steel. The negative plate is stainless steel. And the voltage, 0.35 volts. Okay. This pump has another tube that goes down right there. These are little cheap peristaltic pumps that we buy. They're probably for aquariums or something. I don't know.
No, they're for plasma type machines.
No, I don't think so. It's
the kind they have on every medical machine I've ever seen.
Yeah, except these are $30 each. It's about, I think it's 100 and a little over 100 milliliters per minute, 150 milliliters per minute or something.
There's little pumps.
Little peristaltic pumps. But anyhow, so this solution comes down through the plates, comes over, then comes back up on the other side of the cathode, and then drains into the solution reservoir here. This is solution. And this is thiourea, water, and battery acid. And this is at pH 1. Okay? And I believe this is 1,000 grams, 3 gallons, and I think it's about 300 mils. I'm not sure. Okay? I have it written on the bucket. Okay? Hey, Walt. So, that's the basic system. This pump here costs, I think they're about 25, 30 bucks each. Power supply is about $100 each. Cartridge, about $10 each maybe. This is just some strap, 2" by 1/8" strap, stainless steel and carbon steel. Any kind of reservoir, a good stout sterilite type thing would work just fine. And we can, one of those little pumps will do 1 cartridge, and you can strip it in 24 hours without a problem if you keep it hot. And by the way, this is at 60 degrees C. Okay. It has to be hot. So that's the basic system, Brian. Could be. I'm not sure what 60C is. The thermostat that we have, they make thermostat. I think thermostat was again in the neighborhood of $50, $45. And it has its own temperature probe. You plug it into the wall. It'll run 110 volt standard outlet. And it has both a cooling and a heating outlet. So when you make a set temperature, say it's 60 degrees C, it's measuring it. And if it gets above 60 degrees C, it'll power the cooling outlet. If it's below 60 degrees C, it powers the heating outlet. So just whatever you plug it into will, do whatever you need it to do. So that's basically what we're using. And I don't doubt it. Let's say we don't care. Is it? And in our situation, we seem to be loading about 4 grams of gold per cartridge for 330 grams of resin. And if it was more selective, we should be able to get more than that, more like 25 or 30 grams of gold. So there's a lot of contamination happening. Exactly, Brian. The stripping circuit works for a while. Chris, if you're still on, something happens at a certain point where you stripped a certain number of things where all of a sudden it just doesn't seem to be getting the effectiveness as it was. I don't know if it's getting poisoned. I've been adding some thiourea, and I don't know. We're going to try. We've reached the point with this last cartridge where either the cartridge wasn't loaded very good, we're going to take that cartridge after we've done stripping it with this solution, and we can tell whether it's stripped or not, because we have a little thing over here with an overflow. We just take this tube, put it in this container. It's one of our centrifuge containers. And one of these with a hole in the side, and we just stick it in there. And then we use a copper strip, a clean copper strip, which will plate the gold. And we can tell whether or not it's stripping gold because it'll plate gold. It's fairly sensitive. And we're not getting real good deposits on this right now. We're getting good deposits. I mean, it's not like it's almost done. And any salt in the leach, I'm sure there's some kind of salts that are building up, like, iron sulfides or whatever.
Oh,
But
we actually need to find a way to spot test for the thiourea.
we need to test the thiourea concentration and what else is building up, because it may be getting more poisoned than anything else. There's just too much other crap in there. I don't know. But we're going to run this to where it's stripped. We're not getting near the quantities we would expect. But once this is done leaching, we're going to go ahead and take this solution out, make up a fresh batch of solution, and put the same cartridge in it and see what we get. So, and say we shall see. Then we're going to put in new cartridges that need to be stripped and go from there. So we'll see what happens. But it does appear that the stripping solution has a finite life. I simply don't know why, because it requires some chemical testing and this and that, which are not currently within the budget at the moment. Yeah, if we find a good 2 ounce to the ton ore body, it'll be in the budget. Trust me. Yeah, exactly, honey bunny. I don't know what the heck is going on for sure, but something is going on. Okay.
I thought it was almost 30 minutes.
What?
26 minutes.
What was where?
That they knew about Thomas.
Okay. Anyhow, this cartridge is either very poorly loaded or the solution itself is not effective. One thing we can test easily is the pH, and you have to add acid as time goes on. And so
I did have a thought about that.
Clearly the acid's being consumed, so we could be getting iron sulfate, we could be getting all kinds of things that are just building up in this solution and making it non-functioning.
The results we got back would be kind of in line with what we're getting from the stripper now with the cups of the cartridges.
What?
Remember the numbers we just got? The pitiful little number?
Yeah.
That would be right about in line with what we're getting out of that dang cartridge.
Well, and that's possible. That's why we're going to make a fresh batch of solution and try it on fresh cartridges and see what happens. Okay. They were loaded about the same as these other two, and we'll see what happens. So, we know the acid's being consumed. We know the thiourea is being consumed. We know the liquid level stays the same because we're adding water and sulfuric acid. So obviously something's building up in solution. Not sure what the consequence is, but my guess is the solution is becoming non-functional because it's getting too much of something else in it. Okay. Because we use the copper strip test, that becomes obvious. If we can take this cartridge out, put it in fresh solution, and all of a sudden it's working good, then we got basically an endpoint test. I'm sure it will, honey bunny. That's exactly what I'm thinking. But we shall see what it is. I have neutralized the old solutions basically to deal with them so I can dispose of them. And yeah, it drops a lot of stuff. I have no idea what stuff.
I have gathered up a bunch of the stuff. I am drying it, and I'm going to be smelting it and testing it this week.
He was going to be testing for precious metals, but again, that's all we're really set up to do is just basically do a fire assay. Well, that doesn't tell us what is in it, just is this particular thing in it. So yes, we've precipitated a bunch. We got a bunch of residue laying around from previous stripping solutions. And I'd love to send it off for a thorough chemical analysis, and we'll go from there. Oxalic acid to do what, Chris? We could carefully neutralize the solution to pH, 7 or a little higher with, say, sodium hydroxide to precipitate stuff out as hydroxides. And then take that clear solution, reacidify it, add some more thiourea and see what happens.
Well, we have been neutralizing.
I don't know. I'd say
we've been neutralizing it with lime.
So you think just putting oxalic acid in it, Chris, would cause everything to precipitate? Gold will drop before pH of 4. I don't know. So this is where it gets into chemistry, which I really don't understand very well. Wish I did.
Well,
but I don't.
Always package up some of the powdered mystery stuff for Christmas.
By the way, Chris, have you had any opportunity to play games with that glycine? Yeah, glycine. Yeah, the problem is we need something selective. That was my thought, Chris. You need to get better. I just don't know.